Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. It is Wednesday, and that means we speak with Matt, the mortgage guy. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Mike. How you doing?
Hey, man, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is something I'm increasingly seeing across my experts, and that is the fact that many of them, and actually a shocking number of them, actually started their real estate journey house hacking. So let's define what house hacking is. Whether it's a fourplex or some even went with roommates, and I'll give some examples in a minute. But do you want to talk about what house hacking is from a lender's or a broker's perspective?
Sure. And I think that it's funny because people always relate to stories. I forget this sometimes, Mike, but me and my now wife, when we were just engaged, bought our first house in 2006. Big $2,700 a month payment because 6% first and 12% second.
Yeah.
More of the mortgage. Like it wasn't because the house was expensive, because the mortgage sucked.
Yes. Yeah.
We had
12. That's bad.
Right. We had one of my buddies in one room paying $450 a month. We had one of her friends in another room paying $450 a month. We were house hacking, and I forget that.
Yeah.
Right? Because we've got a third of the mortgage being paid by them nowadays. We've got investors that are really strategic in a lot of areas too. If you're in a high cost area, I can't afford housing. It's impossible because I'm in the Bay Area. I deal with a ton of Bay Area clients who buy a home. Those rooms in the house can rent for $1,000, $1,200 a piece.
Yeah.
So if you can't buy a house for less than 800,000, but when you do, you can rent each room for $1,200. You can get most of that mortgage paid for. And here's the thing that real estate investors understand is when you control the $1 million asset, since we're talking about the Bay Area, we'll just call it $1 million asset.
Sure.
You're getting to see the appreciation gains. Only 3 or 4% is $30,000, $40,000 a year. So it's serious appreciation gains and the principal pay down.
Yeah.
Because maybe of this $4,000 mortgage, 3,600 is roommates and 400 is you.
Yeah.
But if $1,200, $1,500 a month is paying down the principal, that's literally like a forced savings account on your behalf.
Yeah.
All these benefits, and that's popular. And so that's the single family house hack. You buy a single family, you rent out rooms.
Yeah.
And it's very similar to what the house hack would be if you bought.
Let's stop there for a second, because I want to just share an example of how this could work. So there's a gentleman named Todd Baldwin. He's been on my channel a couple of times. He's adding material to my course. He was CNBC Millennial Millionaire. And he just came on my channel, I guess 2 weeks ago, and talked about what he did in Seattle. Not quite Bay Area pricey, but expensive. So he was 23 years old. He was able to save $18,000 or $19,000 by living below his means. And he bought a $500,000 house, 3% down, right? So call it 17, 18 grand after closing costs and all of that. He then went ahead and rented rooms to buddies. He lived for free and made $25,000 a year. So that would be what, $2,000 a month? So he lived for free, made $2,000 a month, and he had just sold it the day we recorded. I guess he sold it the day before, and he walked away with $300,000, right? Mortgage pay down, appreciation. Again, think about that. He had roommates, so he didn't have to pay any rent or mortgage, or it's paid for by others. And then he got all the appreciation. He didn't have to share the appreciation with his roommates. He got it all. He turned 18 grand into $300,000 in what amounted to 6 years. I don't know what the compound average growth rate is, but that is amazing.
Right. Yeah. There's 15x gains to be had in real estate. You don't have to gamble with Dogecoin. Moral of the story.
Yeah. Again, and what people don't realize is I just talked to Anna Kelly today. She house hacked the next version, the lumberjack landlord. He houses. Again, people that say you can't get on the property ladder, if you think it takes 20% down to get on, you're wrong. If you think it takes your income only, you're wrong. There are ways to get on it. And then time and inflation become your friend. It's
right. And here's the important thing to think about from a mortgage broker's perspective. If it's an owner occupied home, you get the best terms, you get the smallest down payment. So the least amount of capital needed, right? So you buy a single family with 3% down, you buy a 2 to 4 with 3.5 or 5% down. There's programs out there where you don't have to have 150,000 to put down. And there's multiple different ways to do it. I know people that are single family where they're Airbnb-ing 2 rooms.
Yeah.
Doing short-term rentals or long-term roommates. Or if you don't want to share a house with somebody, you buy a nice duplex and you have somebody living on the other side. Or, the thing that I really wish I could go back in time and be 22 again, because I would buy a fourplex. Every time. When I talk to somebody who's 22, 23, 27, and they're going to buy a fourplex and live in one unit and rent the other 3, I get so jealous.
You smile, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm excited for them. I'm happy for them. But like that, there's so much magic in that, because the numbers, like you said, such a small investment. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to see the appreciation on the whole thing. That's where people don't realize, if homes only appreciate on average 4% a year, and historically we're not always going to see 17% like last year, but if it's appreciating 4% on 500, and so that's 20,000 ish per year, mm-hmm. and you only put down 20,000, a $20,000 appreciation, a $20,000 down payment is 100% return. And no stock is performing that well.
Yeah. Not routinely. That is for sure. So and you get so many options. You could do a cash out refi, which loans are not taxed. You can 1031. And if it's your primary residence, here's a beauty for you. And you live in it for 2 out of the last 5 years, you can sell it and take the first $250K tax-free, or $500,000 if you're married. There's all these things. Get in the property ladder. Let time be your friend. What I want to ask you as a mortgage broker, let's say I'm somebody that's going to buy a 4 or 5 bedroom house, $800,000 in your example. What do I need to tell you it's going to be a house hack, right? I'm filling out my forms. You're like, shit, dude, you don't make enough money. What do I need to tell you?
Well, here's the thing. And I've gotten this question quite a lot, because let's do the fourplex first. Sure. The fourplex, you're buying it. You've got your income. We've got projected rent for units 2, 3, and 4, and you're going to live in number 1.
Understood.
That's easy. Where it gets harder is if you're not able to qualify for the single family. Mm-hmm. The way the guideline is written is you can only use what they call boarder income, where it's like you're boarding someone in the house, if you have a history of it. So I don't know how many people have a history where you can say, oh yeah, for the last 12 months, I've subleased to
so-and-so
Joe Schmo. And so in that way, it might be tough, but I've got plenty of folks that, the qualifying isn't necessarily the barrier, right? They live in the Bay Area. They work for Amazon. They're an engineer, make 180. You can live. Yeah. You can qualify. You just don't want to have a $5,000 mortgage payment.
Exactly.
Okay. Problem solved. Yeah. $1,250 a room times 3. Done. You're subsidizing it.
Yeah. So again, the units, right? Duplexes through quads is easy. There's units, lease. They can look at area examples. Roommates, again, qualify straight up, then subsidized, live for free.
Right. Exactly.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about the fourplex one more time, because that's really, again, like you said, man, if I had to do it all over again, getting out of college, getting that first job, I'd be like, where can I buy a fourplex?
Right. And that's the thing too, from a residential mortgage broker's perspective, like mine, we only go up to 4 units. And so that's why you'll hear us talk about 2 to 4, because if you want to have as many doors as possible and you want to buy it, owner occupied and have a small down payment, 4 is your limit. So let's do 4 doors if you're trying to get to as many as possible. And it's general mortgage qualifying. You're going to qualify fairly similar to how you do when you're buying a single family house. Your income versus the mortgage. And in this scenario, you get to use those projected rents, 75% of them,
that's what
towards qualifying.
So let's say it's $1,000 times 3. So it's $3,000 gross. You'll get 75% of that, which would be what, 22.5 or something.
Yeah. 2250 that just goes on top of, your 8,000 a month that you make. And so now you're 10,250 versus the mortgage, your current debts. Yeah. You qualify. Bada bing. All of a sudden you're a property owner. And an investor. You're like kind of the best of both worlds. You're an investor and a property owner, and you are without question you may not live for free, but you sure as hell are living cheaper than rent. Right. Yeah. So you went from a place where you were paying $1,200 a month in rent and no benefits to maybe, you pay $500 of the mortgage, the tenants pay the rest, the principal pay down, the appreciation. And then the magic for a lot of people is rents creep up a little bit and then they move out and they go, oh, wow. Rents I'm telling you, Mike, I've got examples of folks that bought fourplexes in Antelope, which is near Sacramento where I'm at, or it's a, it's a
suburb or whatever
suburb of Sacramento. They were buying these places in 2016, investors I was working with, for like 300 to 340,000.
Okay.
One, they're worth 700 now.
Jeez.
And two, like when I did a mortgage for somebody who put 3.5% down, maybe I've refinanced them since. They've got a really small mortgage, like a $2,000 tops, right?
Right.
Those things are renting for $1,300 a door.
Oh.
So they've got over $5,000, even if there's a lot of expenses, these things are spitting off $2,000 a month, with property management and expenses and all that. And that's probably, being really conservative.
Sure.
When they bought it for 300 and put 3.5% down, 15, 16, 17,000 with closing costs.
Yes. It's just amazing stuff, folks. Do yourself a favor. If you don't understand house hacking, you live in California, reach out to Matt, the mortgage guy, talk about options. And again, he shared with us last week, and on his channel, make sure you plug your channel. He talked about a 95% LTV, 80% of area income, all of that. He knows about them. Call him, reach out, talk about your channel and how you want them to reach out.
Sure. I'd love for you to check out Matt the Mortgage Guy on YouTube. I got about 500-ish videos. I think in the next few days, I'm going to hit 1 million views. So somebody's watching, somebody's enjoying it.
Nice work.
And in regards to reaching out to me and the team, Matt at mattthemortgageguy.com. If you're thinking about house hacking, if you're an aspiring investor, any of these things, let us walk you through a pre-approval. If you don't qualify now, we'll tell you how to do it in the future. Yeah. But a lot of folks too, here's where I really want to challenge folks is, I don't know if I'm really, thinking I want to do the pre-approval, or I don't know this. Why not?
Yeah.
Right? Like take 5 or 10 minutes of your
time.
You
don't charge them, right? There's no cost.
I pay for the credit report.
Yeah.
I'm asking you if I can spend some of my money to help you out to set you up for the future and give you some real solid answers. Cause that's the thing is a lot of folks want to, talk about hopes and dreams and stuff that's way out there. Let's start with the basics. See if you qualify. If you do, for how much. With that, how much, what's that going to look like mortgage wise? I want to give you that information so you can go look at investments and then say, okay, I thought it was going to be this number for a mortgage payment, but after reviewing with Matt's team, I realized it's going to be this. I've got to change my criteria. I've got to change what I'm looking at. Maybe I want to look at, duplexes versus singles, or singles versus, fourplexes, whatever it is, right? Like you're going to arm yourself with more knowledge. That's always going to be helpful. I promise. Yeah,
that's a good idea. So let me just say it this way. If you're in the state of California and you are a young aspiring investor, I strongly encourage you to think about house hacking, the fourplex, tri, dupes, whatever it is. Follow Todd Baldwin's example, get roommates if you can qualify. But again, reach out to Matt, the mortgage guy, Matt at mattthemortgageguy.com. Yes, there are 3 T's in a row. You're not seeing things. And let's see if he can help you. I think he's helping a lot of people in the one rental at a time community. So I appreciate your time this week. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
You got it.